The new Sennheiser Momentum 3s have been packed with a whole bunch of new features to help them stay competitive in today's super competitive ANC headphone market. Although I really do enjoy these headphones, they definitely aren't for everybody. But today we're going to see how the Sennheiser Momentum 3s stack up against today's big boys, the Sony 1000XM3s and Bose NC 700s. Because there are some things about the Momentum 3s that I prefer over these other two headphones. So first off, obviously we have to talk about price. Both the Momentum 3s and NC 700s retail for $400, whereas the Sony 1000XM3s retail for $350 and now sometimes even go on sale. Personally, I just hope that this doesn't start a trend where more and more premium ANC headphones are gonna start going up in prices like premium phones did. But if you want to pick any of these headphones up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to learn more about any of these headphones, please watch their full reviews because we're only going to be covering the main differences here. Now, before we actually get to the headphones, I do want to quickly address the carrying cases here. Both the Sony 1000XM3s and Bose NC 700s come included with a decent hardshell carrying case that's going to keep your headphones safe when you cram them into an overpacked backpack, and it's very easy to take your headphones out and put them back in. Whereas with the Momentum 3s, their carrying case is a huge letdown for $400 headphones. It feels nice, but this floppy carrying case just makes putting your headphones away a hassle. And since it's not a hard shell case, you do have to be careful about not accidentally crushing your headphones. In short, I wouldn't recommend the Momentum 3s to a constant commuter looking for headphones, unless you plan on getting your own case. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about design and build quality on these headphones. All three of these headphones look very different. At the end of the day, looks are subjective, but personally, I prefer how the Sonys look. Personally, I prefer their understated design, and I really like their low-profile headband. But when it comes to build quality, that's another story. The Sonys have good build quality, and even after a year of heavy usage, my 1000XM3s look just as good as the day I got them. But my biggest complaint about the Sonys is that the leatherette on their earpads and headband feels very plasticky, whereas the leatherette on the Bose NC 700s feels much nicer. But hands down, the Momentum 3s have the best feeling earpads and headband here because they're using real sheepskin leather. It just feels richer and smoother. And overall, I do think the Momentum 3s have the best build quality here. They just feel sturdier than the Bose, and more importantly, since they don't have silicone underneath the headband like the Bose, the headband on the Momentum 3s don't get all gunked up from hair gel and sweat like my Bose headphones do. Now, when it comes to fit, if I had to rank them, it would go Sennheiser, Sony, and then Bose. And here's why. Both the Sennheiser Momentum 3s and Sony 1000XM3s are big head approved. They both have very little clamping force, and you forget that you have them on when you're watching movies with them, which is a good thing. But the Sonys aren't going to fit everyone comfortably because their ear cups are a little cramped compared to the other two headphones here. If you have medium or low profile ears like me, they'll fit you just fine. But if you have larger ears or ears that stick out a lot, then you'll be better off with the Momentum 3s because of their more spacious ear cups. Now, yeah, the ear cups on the Bose NC 700s are slightly more spacious than the ear cups on the Sennheisers, but since the NC 700s have more clamping force, they aren't as comfortable for people who have a larger head, like me. I can wear these headphones for a while, but I never forget they're there, and I constantly have to readjust them. Now, when it comes to battery life, all three of these headphones charge via a USB-C port, which is good. But when it comes to battery life, all three of these headphones are very different. From least to most, the Sennheiser Momentum 3s have an advertised battery life of 17 hours, which is below average for $400 headphones, and I'm getting more like 14 hours out of them. Whereas the Bose NC 700s have an advertised battery life of 20 hours, which is okay, but not great. And then there's the Sony 1000XM3s, which have an advertised battery life of 30 hours. Now, real-world use with the Sonys, I can usually go about 2 weeks in between charges with these headphones. And under the same usage conditions, I can usually go about a week and 2 days in between charges with the Bose, which is still decent. But with the Sennheisers, I find myself having to charge them every 5 days. So yeah, once you get used to only having to charge your headphones every 2 weeks or so, you kind of don't want to go back. Regarding Bluetooth connectivity, both the Sennheisers and Bose can be connected to two devices at the same time, so you can easily hot swap from one device to another. Now, this is a big deal because the Sonys can only be connected to one device at a time, so you just can't swap from your phone to your computer or to your tablet just as easily. But when it comes to audio codecs, all three of these headphones have AAC support, which is good if you're an iPhone user. But if you're an Android user, the Sennheisers have aptX and aptX low latency support, and the Sonys have LDAC, which is Sony's in-house audio codec. Ultimately, unless you have your own FLAC files on your phone or on your computer, or if you're subscribed to a lossless streaming service, aptX or LDAC really isn't important to you. If you're just streaming your music off of Apple Music or off of YouTube, then all three of these headphones are going to be perfectly fine. But for the people who do have their own FLAC files or are subscribed to a lossless streaming service like Tidal, then you'll probably want to know that the Sennheiser Momentum 3s are the only headphones here whose USB-C port can also be used as a wired connection. So if you're an Android audiophile, this could be a huge deal for you. And overall, when it comes to listening to music, personally, I prefer how the Momentum 3 sounds. Now, all three of these headphones sound good, but they're going to please very different types of people. If you're someone that likes to have full control over your EQ settings, or if you like a lot of bass in your music, then you should go with the Sonys. With the Sonys, you can make them sound however you want, and you can even have different EQ settings for different listening situations, and if you want to max out the bass on these headphones, you can do that. But if you're someone that prefers a neutral sound signature and a wider soundstage, then you'll want to look into the Sennheisers or Bose. Both of these headphones have neutral sound signatures, but personally, I prefer the Sennheisers because they have more bass than the Bose. But the bass on the Sennheiser is very different than the bass on the Sonys. The bass on the Sennheisers resonates so deep that they actually send chills down your back, whereas the bass on the Sonys just has more of a kick to it, which isn't as impressive. Ultimately, this boils down to personal preference, but I think the Sonys will please most people, whereas the Sennheisers will please people who prefer detail. But another thing that's going to boil down to personal preference is whether you prefer touchpads or physical control buttons on your headphones. Now, yeah, there is a learning curve when it comes to using the touchpads on the Sonys or Bose, but once you get used to them, they're very easy to use. But if you're someone that prefers the simplicity and accuracy of physical buttons, then the Sennheisers have you back. Their buttons are very tactile, but I just wish they were metal instead of rubber. But now, let's talk about how the active noise cancellation on the Momentum 3s stack up against the Bose and Sonys. The ANC on the Momentum 3s have no problem keeping up with the big boys when it comes to blocking out constant low-frequency sounds like road noise. But when it comes to blocking out random higher frequency sounds like chatter, the Momentum 3s clearly struggle. And so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test. Like you may have just seen, the Momentum 3s block out a considerable amount of road noise, but chatter not so much. Like I've said in the past, any decent pair of ANC headphones should have no problem blocking out constant low frequency sounds, but what separates decent ANC headphones from great ANC headphones is how well they manage to block out random higher frequency sounds. So if you're looking for the best active noise cancellation, the Sony 1000XM3s still reign supreme. But a feature that's new to the Momentum 3s is that they now have an ambient mode, and the ambient mode on the Momentum 3s get the job done. It sounds natural and there's no hissing in the background. But the ambient mode on the Momentum 3s is very basic. You can only have it on or off, and you can't adjust it like on the Bose or Sonys. And technically speaking, the ambient mode on the Sonys is the most sophisticated here because it actively blocks out sudden loud noises, saving you from jump scares, and you can also set it to only focus on people's voices. Both the Momentum 3s and NC700s meet the criteria for decent ambient modes, but the Sonys is still better. But when it comes to phone calls, ironically, the microphone on the Sonys sound very muffled. They'll get the job done, but you're definitely going to have to speak up while on phone calls. The microphone on the Sennheiser Momentum 3s isn't all that much better. Ironically, there's a lot of amplification going on here, so with these headphones, you don't want to speak too loudly when you're taking phone calls. But the Bose NC700s, on the other hand, have a great sounding microphone for phone calls. It just sounds miles better than what's found on the Sony 1000XM3s and Sennheiser Momentum 3s. So overall, the Sennheiser Momentum 3s have been packed with a whole bunch of new features to help them stay competitive against the Sony 1000XM3s and Bose NC700s. They even have some other features that I didn't even mention in this video. But at the end of the day, I still prefer and recommend the Sony 1000XM3s for the majority of other people. They cost less, they have better performing ANC and ambient modes, and they have a much longer battery life. But the Momentum 3s are still a good alternative to the Sony 1000XM3s if you need larger ear cups or if you want better sound. I think the Momentum 3s are a good option for an Android audiophile if you plan on using that USB-C wired connection. But if you're a heavy commuter who's looking into active noise cancellation, these wouldn't be my first pick. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any other products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.